Hello and welcome to another video where I just ramble on over still image because those are so popular. And I'm going to be talking about Scorn because, well, of course, what else? This channel is Scorn or TF2 shit. Why anyone subscribes here, I have no bloody idea. So I've been thinking a bit about the updates for the game and their infrequency. The game has since been massively delayed since they're not working on part 1, put that out on Steam, and then work on part 2, but they're combining them both into a single game. So at best, they have part 1 complete and are working on the second half of the game. And that's probably going to take a while, even if they do have 30 people on their team, as opposed to the, 15 or so they had before. The general trend seems to be that they post an update, and everyone's pretty satisfied. They reply to people most within the first day of the update being posted, and then after that, not really anything at all, except for maybe the scarce reply to someone on Twitter. I've been kind of wondering, what could they do as far as updates are concerned that would be more substantial than just a little notification that they're not all dead, but not compromise their rather strict desires not to spoil anything about the game. The head developer even said that if he had the option, no one would have known the game existed or was even being developed until it's completely finished. And I've noticed they sort of make out making these updates to be a rather laborious task. On their Kickstarter, they write, I quote, "At this stage we're focusing our complete attention to the game development. However, we took some time to prepare this update and show you a glimpse of what's to come." And the glimpse of what to come is 2 concept arts, complete with 2 3 to 4 second YouTube videos showing more or less a single view that depicts exactly what the area in the shown in the concept art would look like in the game itself. Oddly enough, given how simple the videos are, it probably would have been a lot easier to just take a picture or a screenshot of the area in the game and post that along with the concept art, rather than recording a short movie and then uploading it to YouTube and then setting it as a hidden video or private video or whatever, and all of that. What I'm saying is, I think waiting for the video to upload, however fast or slow it might be for them over there, was probably the most difficult part of the update. So yeah, I've been trying to think, what sort of updates could they post that would be maybe more interesting to see without being too much work or revealing anything or much about the game at all. One of the first things I thought of was they could maybe go back to some of the areas or scenery we've seen before and show if any major graphical changes were made to them. Now technically there's only really 2, maybe 3 areas we've seen in depth. There's the location in the demo, that facility, and I don't know how much would have changed between the release of the demo and the final product. Technically, you can sort of count that area in the teaser trailer that You see Scorn guy opening up this giant door. He walks through holding his gun, and during that period it sort of flashes to all these other different sceneries. I guess we sort of got a good look at that place, especially at the end of the trailer before it just showed the title of the game. But again, not sure how much has been changed or could have been changed. But the area I had in mind that we've seen quite a bit of was the area shown in the pre-alpha trailer, which they've confirmed is going to be in the final game. The pre-alpha trailer was posted on their first attempt at making a Kickstarter, the one that didn't succeed. And the first Kickstarter was also under Scorn Part 1 of 2. So I'm assuming that the area would be completed or close to complete for, with what they're working on now. Technically, it shouldn't be too spoiler heavy since it's already a place we've seen before. They can even just cross compare the different environmental shots we've seen in the pre-alpha trailer with a picture from the current build. There are some changes though. That scrunched up guy that's carried by the hook near the end, he's called Mold Man, isn't going to be in the final game according to one of the developers answering a question that was asked on Kickstarter actually quite a while ago. The only problem though is that it's basically just cross-comparing one area with a final build. It's not exactly a lot of that you can stretch out unless you're really willing to show things, which I'm pretty sure the developers aren't. So another thing I thought of was maybe some of the people who are working on the game, other than whoever keeps making these updates. I assume it's Nikola Rakic or maybe Peklar himself rating this stuff. But like the programmers, the concept artists, the people making the music and sound effects, like they can write a few words about what's like working on the game, what their thoughts on their product is, the challenges that come with it, what their thoughts about working on the game was when they first started versus at the moment. And since they've hired more people, I'd actually be interested in hearing from them. Did any of them know about Scorn before they started working for it? Were they surprised by what the game turned out to be like? No need to post spoilers, but they can say it was very different than what I expected it to be, or it was very much aligned with my expectations. Did they have difficulty adjusting to working on such an unconventional game? That sort of stuff. It could make for a very interesting few updates, especially since we would be approaching the game from multiple different angles. One of the more interesting updates, I think, was when they posted those few music scores from Billion, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't think it would take very long to have someone just sit down and write a paragraph or two about what they think about working on the game. It's also something that can be used like multiple months over time. You have like 8 people working on 3D art and modeling alone, and 3 people working on sound design, 4 people working on sound design, and this is before the staff members went up to 30. another idea is to record like small bits of gameplay, and I mean like really small. The character pulls a lever and the machine it's attached to does a thing, and then the end clip. And I'm sure it's probably not a very popular idea, or would be it would be an unpopular idea among the developers since they don't want spoilers. But given that part 1 was supposed to be around 6 to 8 hours, and I presume or assume that part 2 would be roughly the same amount of time, meaning the full game would be around 12 to 16 hours, I don't think it would have a massive impact on the player's experience if a few of them see a clip of Scorn guy pulling a lever and the machine doing a thing, and then the clip ends. We actually even saw that in the pre-alpha trailer. He has this like key thing in his hand, he shoves it into a hole, and then the scene changes to like a machine claw on the wall grasping onto this weird slimy thing on the wall, and then the scene quickly changes to something else. I said earlier that it would be an interesting idea to show comparisons through pictures of the pre-alpha trailer and the current build, but it would also be cool, I guess, to see like a clip showing roughly the same action he did in that area and the result of it. And they actually even showed some of the levers and stuff you'd interact with in concept art in Update 3, Project Update 3. And one of the things shown was that little eye thing on the machine that you use to upgrade to the stone key. But the other 3 things in that singular picture that shifts between the black and white version and the colored version of the concept art are all new machines. Now, none of these look like they're super groundbreaking ideas. There's quite literally a lever, something stylized and fancy, but ultimately no different than what you would expect to see in the real world. It kind of looks like the gear shift in a car in some ways. So just like a clip of Scorn guy reaching over and, pulling that up or pulling it down. It would be interesting. Another thing they could actually show that we've technically seen before, so to avoid awful spoilers, is in the very same update there's this outside environment where there's this corridor that's blocked off by these sort of bended bars and this one circular door that, according to the sketch black and white part of the concept art, is supposed to rotate to let, I presume, or I keep saying presume, assume the character through. So that could be shown in a small clip. At worst, this stuff could be shown like closer to when the game is released. But in Project Update 1, there's the sort of uncolored and mostly untextured shots of an empty room here. Another thing that could be easily, gone back to and shown what progress was made on it. That's all sort of like just general stuff. They seem quick, and as far as I feel, they don't seem too spoiler heavy, but the developers might feel differently, or would very likely feel differently. about some of the suggestions. And now those ideas are mostly meant to be like on a quick things to do every month. So they're meant to sort of fill in the gap of time between now or the next update and when the game is finally released. Along the way, they could do some bigger things. They could do like a question and answer session where people on Kickstarter or whatever, maybe just people in general, can submit their inquiries and they're able to answer what they can. I think it'd be even more interesting if they wrote out all of the questions they can't answer due to spoilers to, maybe assist with speculation or get people interested in theorizing about the game a bit. Because we now know it's something pertinent to the game. We don't know what, but it is something to think about while waiting for the game to release. I don't know how successful it would be, but they can also do like an art contest, sort of like what the Agony developers did. I don't think Scorn will get quite as much fan art, since Agony had a lot of sexual appeal, just to be completely blunt about it, and that got a lot of fan artists interested. But Scorn still is like a very art-heavy game. A huge part of the appeal to it is the visuals. So I'm sure there'd be a lot of fan artists or just artists in general online who submit something, and that'd be quite nifty. So these are just some ideas I had and thoughts I've had about the game and its updates and what could be done to maybe make them more interesting, or more interesting update ideas that could also be made more frequently, because right now they update like every 2 months, sometimes 3 months. But I doubt any of them will see this video or even give a shit though. I'm just rambling at this point, but I guess that's just kind of the purpose of these dumb videos anyways. So to anyone who lasted this long through this slog of useless ideas, I hope you enjoyed the video, that I gave you something to think about and otherwise entertained you. Take care.